I would like to talk to you about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom of thought, and freedom of ideas. The biggest shift in thought in my time has been the fact that deplatforming and censorship is not accepted as just being the way things are. As a subject matter expert, I visited the United States, North, South, East, and West, Canada, Czech Republic, Denmark, Germany, Austria, Serbia, Slovakia, Poland, Israel, and Kosovo. I spoke with European Union Parliament members, politicians, intelligence heads. That was disappointing to see how little the intelligence officers knew about Islam. Political party heads and a future prime minister. I prepared white papers for the FBI. My book sold like crazy, tens of thousands. I had a #1 bestseller on Amazon. My YouTube channel had millions of views. I was surprised. YouTube contacted me. At first I ignored them thinking it was just some sort of con, but it turns out that they told me that I was making videos that got a lot of attention, but they could teach me how to do it better, and they would assign me a person to help me do that. So I became one of the few people on the face of the earth that had a phone call at YouTube that someone would pick up and say, "Hello, Bill." Life seemed to be wonderful. If you used Google and searched for the term political Islam, the first 4 screens would involve me in political Islam. Then a storm cloud appeared. On the front page of the Sunday edition of the Tennessean, there was a whole article on me, saying that I was a hater and a racist and an anti-Muslim hater. Then the Southern Poverty Law Center weighed in. They said that I was a hater and a bigot based on the newspaper Tennessean. They also said at one time that I was one of the top 10 bigots in the United States, and that because of my living in Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville became a hate city. Now that's a powerful person when just one person can change it all to hate. Then it got worse. Media Matters, a George Soros organization, had a meeting in Florida, and the Southern Poverty Law Center was the featured speakers. And what they said was, we've tried shaming these people, but they won't shame. We must now drive them out of business. And in 6 weeks' time, things began to happen. My bestseller on Amazon was taken off. 3/4 of the Google references disappeared. YouTube reviewed my monetization. PayPal dropped me. MasterCard sent me a high-priced attorney letter saying I couldn't use their logo. Sales dropped. Facebook and Twitter shadow banned me. The mailing list manager dropped colleagues, and so I had to change because they were going to drop me as well. Now, none of this is personal. Has nothing to do with me at all. This is the fate of all of those who oppose political Islam. It will all happen to them. Now, there's one lie they tell about me that I find offensive. They say that I'm anti-Muslim. Check it out. I've written 13 books, hundreds of videos, done many interviews. Find me one example in which I have trash-talked a Muslim or said anything bad about any Muslim, including Muhammad. I don't condemn Islam. I don't condemn the Quran. The only people that I condemn are the apologists for Islam. Now, those I do that. But I never talk about religion. Here's an example of my life. Vanderbilt University had a conservative club that invited me over to give a talk. So since it's my hometown, it was a short drive, I did it. Now then, today, no one can speak about political Islam on any campus, because here's what happened. I gave my talk, and a man stood up in the back of the room and started screaming at the top of his voice, "You're a racist, you're a hater, you're a bigot." He didn't call me an Islamophobe. The word hadn't been invented yet. That's a modern word. Then he started repeating himself over and over again. Well, someone came into the room from Vanderbilt and said, "You'll have to turn the room, someone else needs to use it." So, he got his wish. Today, no one can speak about political Islam on any campus. It'll create riots or demonstrations. Now, here's the deal. The facts do not matter. It's just hurt feelings. In European Union, a Supreme Court said that a woman who had said something that hurt the feelings of Muslims, although it was true about Muhammad, she was guilty of offense. So, it's not about facts. Now, all this worries me very much. Not the insults, but that critical thought is being used less and less. Instead of reasoning and critical thought, we hear screaming, insults, name-calling, deplatforming, threats, pressure. And we're being trained to do something which is quite bad. We're being trained to self-censor ourselves. Now, today the censorship applies to the right, conservatives, and libertarians. But this is a totalitarian movement, and the day will come when it will also cut the progressives as well. But it's not just political Islam. The virus, pandemic, climate change, race, all of these things have a point of view that cannot be expressed. Now, all it takes is silence by good men for evil to prosper, and that's what we have here. I'm proud of the fact that I'm attacked by some of the largest, most powerful organizations in the world. Google, Facebook, YouTube, PayPal, MailChimp, MasterCard are my enemies, self-declared. They can't debate me, so what they do is they turn to force. If you judge man by his enemies, then I'm a success. But more important is that censorship is now called good and virtuous. Now, this dooms us as a civilization because reality changes, and it changes what we should be doing. But with censorship, we can't talk about it. We can't talk about how to adapt to a new situation. With censorship, there's no debate. What saddens me greatly since I'm a scientist is that science has become corrupt. Scientists who oppose the majority of opinions and the ideas of COVID virus, climate change, and race are forbidden to speak at conferences, and they will not get any funding. So we have a big problem amongst us. The problem is not me and people like me, but the problem is the fact that society has now gotten used to self-censorship and seems to think that it is virtuous. We're doomed if we continue in this way of thought. Thank you.